Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Empire and Kislev. It's going to be myself with Balthazar Gelt facing off against Subutai, who's going to be coming in with the Ice Witch of Tempest, who I certainly think is a good choice. Tempest magic is quite strong, especially in artillery duels. You can give your artillery, your little groms, extra range, and also bombard infantry pretty effectively with spells like Blizzard and Hailstorm. Nonetheless, looking at my army here, front line is going to be Spearmen with Shields, and I do think that these guys are probably the ideal infantry choice against Kislev, because Kislev infantry are just so much better than Empire infantry in like a straight up, fisticuffs fight. So you might as well get something that has high melee defense, can hold for some time in a losing fight, and also has anti-large. So that is why I do have these Spearmen. You could go, flagellants, swordsmen, things like that, but they're just going to get smashed and also get smashed by cavalry. At least these Spearmen are going to be more resilient against the Kislev cavalry. On top of that, we got war wagons. Don't need to explain them too much. These things are extremely hard to lock down and give you great DPS against the Kislev cavalry mobility and characters. Double Witch Hunter. Now, you might perceive these as a bit of a meme, but I honestly think Witch Hunters are amazing in a couple matchups. I think they're really good against Cathay, really good against Kislev, as well as the Dwarves. Armor-piercing missiles, relatively elusive, and they pack quite a mean punch with those pistols at 375, with a big proportion of that being armor-piercing. On top of that, we got Gelt. I think Final Transmutation is great in this matchup because Kislev likes to blob up for heals, and on top of that, Searing Doom is a pretty good spell if you have the Winds of Magic to just bombard infantry. A double Great Cannons. Great Cannons, I think, do outtrade Little Groms for the price point, especially Hammer the Witches. This thing hits like a truck, so hoping that they'll be able to outtrade some of the Little Groms and that backfield action. And that's pretty much it for my army. And now looking at Subutai here, he's got that cool combo of double Little Groms. So Little Groms are considered single entities, which means they don't have crews, right? So you can just run a Patriarch with them and use the Salak's Lullaby, which is a fat, thick heal. And you drop those heals on those bad boys, and they can trade better than they normally would in artillery duels. So I'm curious to see how this will go down. I still think the Great Cannons will have the advantage, but we'll have to see. And the rest of the army, obviously Armored Kossars got buffed pretty massively in a previous patch. And yeah, they're just great. Their stats are awesome. 36, 40, 32, they have pistol fire. This is one of the matchups in which you don't want to bring grenade launchers, in my opinion, as the Empire, because basically the entire Kislev roster counters grenade launchers, right? Like Kossars can shoot them at a distance, Armored Kossars can shoot them with their pistols. It is just not pretty. So here we have our artillery duel. Balthazar Gelt going to be dropping the Staff of Alans to get some Winds of Magic for the Final Transmutation. Witch Hunters coming up, wagons coming up. I was concerned he was going to shoot my wagons, but I noticed he was shooting at my artillery in the back to hammer the witches, so I was like, all right, let's go all in and see what we can do. Now, as far as the initial trading goes, relatively even, although it looks like, the hammer the witches with the steel chair, direct hit right there. That Little Grom got smashed. Balthazar Gelt with a little bit of cycle charging there against Little Grom, just disrupting the shots, while the war wagons do move in range. Subutai is going to be responding with an Ice Witch here. And I also get a Final Transmutation going down. So that's going to be nailing both those units. He did get a nice heal here with the Salak's Lullaby, but that's the thing, right? To punish the blob, we have our, to punish the blob healing, we have our own blob punishing spell. A little bit of Daki going down from the War Wagons, certainly putting some hurt on that Ice Witch there. And it looks like she does get caught at the tail end of that Final Transmutation, so that's quite nice. And Kislev certainly on the back foot here. But like I said, they have a lot of healing. And the thing is, the Little Groms are still fully operational. So if I don't kill them, the value that I've gotten here, the big value lead, massive value lead actually, isn't really going to mean quite as much. Witch Hunters moving up, and they got their big witch hunting pistols out. I just imagine this is like a heretical Kislev army who's been, maybe hearing the whispers of chaos a little bit too much. So, I can see Katarine and Franz being like, hey, Gelt, go deal with this. So you see what I'm saying about the Witch Hunters? They have those penetrating shots which go through and actually take out quite a few models. You can see a couple more shots there, do take down those Armored Kossars, which is certainly something the Empire really does struggle with, right? Snow Leopard pushed off. It was the summoned Snow Leopard, and we do call in some of our own Empire Knights to try and grab Objective 3. In response, I believe Subutai has his own cavalry coming out. They are going to be Kossovite Dervishes, which do actually lose to Empire Knights. Empire Knights' armor is a little bit too much for them to handle, but it takes a long time for that fight to kind of be resolved. So seeing this objective getting a little bit ugly, I could move forward with my spears and hold it, but I decided to pull back with these guys, and we call them the ultimate floppy hat boys. So the greatswords are on their way in, and yeah, I do think greatswords can do okay here. They do have decent armor at 95. Why can't they just make it 100? Just give them 100 armor, just do it. Although, whatever, you don't want the Empire to be the best at everything, right? Like, the Empire's kind of a jack-of-all-trades faction. If they were that's the problem with Bretonnia right now. Bretonnia is basically, just top tier at everything. Their mobility fight is top tier, their frontline fighting is top tier with their corpse guards that they have and the recently buffed infantry. It's just a tough one. So Subutai going for a little bit of back pressure here. He's got the Kossovite Dervishes and more Dervishes coming in, so I do move one Spearman unit up to fight. And Kislev is probably one of the best factions in the game at diving artillery because of their unbreakable ability, right? It's just so hard to get them off. So The Spearmen will peel them off eventually. Demogryph Knight's going to be coming in with the Halberds, and Demis with Halberds pretty much counter most Kislev infantry. I believe Warbear Riders win in a straight fight. I'm not 100% sure, but even still, something to test for another day. So these Demis are going to be bouncing back right now and should be able to effectively intercept these Kosovo Dervishes. They get their lances out for the Emperor, and they are able to run intercept, and now you can see the Dervishes are going to be getting broken down. But, you know, much like it is in the Dwarf matchup, Kislev infantry are really, really tough to stop for the Empire. And you can see the armored Kossars as well as some bow Kossars got their bows out. Things are getting a little bit crazy. As far as the middle objective goes, looking to be pretty comfortable for us. We have our 2 Witch Hunters just kind of nailing models down. War wagons are parked, but Subutai did a really good job recovering his little Groms. I believe one of them did go down. I'm not sure yet. One did go down, but he got his other little Grom back here, which is doing great work. And my Empire Knights, which were taking the side objective, were intercepted by the Patriarch and the Ice Witch and a little bit of Hailstorm action. So unfortunately, I didn't get that. But now we're going to be going pedal to the middle. I got a couple swordsmen coming out, and, you know, they're not going to do great, but they will have good capture weight, and hopefully we'll get that. We'll have to see. Backhand taken offline. Hammer the Witch is paying the troll toll, but all the units of Kislev that did dive back here ended up going down. And the Spearmen might be able to overwhelm the armored Kossars. I think 2 Spearmen units probably could win that just through sheer attrition. So now the Demi is going to be heading to the middle, and the Witch Hunters are just gadding down these units, basically. You can see the pile of the fallen Kislevites here. That's pretty much all the Witch Hunters. I mean, the War Wagon's doing relatively well, but the little Grom has been effectively wearing down my War Wagons. And on this side, we get a big final transmutation, nailing a couple of those Kislevite units. The Winged Lancers and the Patriarch get in the business, as well as the Ice Witch. But it looks like she's able to narrowly escape, cackling. I wouldn't say in villain, per se, but she's certainly cackling as she gets away. And Gelt is going to be forced to retreat. My Empire Knights do end up losing the fight to the Winged Lancers and Patriarch. So now I need these swordsmen to get in here and hopefully just have enough cap weight to get that objective. Looking at the points, I am up a little bit and massively up on value, 7.5 to 3.6, but this is very similar to the Dwarf matchup, and I can't tell you how many times with the Empire I've been up like 3,000-4,000 value, and I still lose to the Dwarf somehow. You just find a way. And Kislev is kind of similar, and they have healing too. So there's a little bit of healing. See the healing cap appearing here, and the little Grom is fully operational. So a lot of the value I do have in this game is kind of falsely inflated with the little Grom and the Ice Witch, both of whom are still functional and pretty much doing their job. Gust of True Flight going down. Looks like the Gust of True Flight going to be nailing the Demogryph Knights, losing a lot of models right there. Really, really nice shot by Subutai. And now Balthazar Gelt going to be trying to wrestle this point. Demogryph Knights going to be getting around the back of the army, looking really, really cool. One of my favorite units in the game, hands down. Well, these swordsmen do move up, and, you know, they're hanging in there for Sigmar. You see what I'm saying about the sword versus spear argument? I maxed out on the spearmen with shields, so I couldn't bring more, but, like, the spearmen with the shields would just be exponentially more useful, right, against this, like, style army. And it looks like the Demi's going to get a pretty effective fight, tying down many of the Winged Lancers, and overall Objective 3 should be flipping to us. No problem. Now, in the middle, we got Zargard in there. Zargard bashing through my spearmen. Witch Hunters providing a little bit of cap weight. Characters do have 3 capture weight. Cavalry have 4, and infantry, of course, have 5 when they're at full health. So just a little bit of a run down to the cap weight right there. But the Witch Hunters still being really, really solid. And the Greatsword's not doing bad also. I was super happy to have a situation where Greatswords actually shine. I mean, they really just cut through these armored Kossars, and they're able to give me objective number 1. So in a second, once I finish over chasing, which is a classic play right there, we should be able to roll back to objective 1 and take that one. We also start to call it handgunners, so this is a matchup in which I think basic handgunners are actually quite good. You can see the Kossars, the spears, getting melted horribly by the handgunner fire. And yeah, you know, the armor piercing is a little bit wasted on these guys, but even still, you're going to want to, you know, get them off there and start to get up to the point. So the Kossars are going to be running brutal, brutal fire coming in. Spearmen moving up. And like I said, the 2 spearmen are able to overwhelm the armored Kossars. And thankfully, we do get a cannon back online, which I was quite grateful for. I was starting to feel the impact of the little Grom and how much damage it was truly doing against my Demis, who just got melted by that little Grom. So I was like, okay, we need to shut that thing down. So you can see my cannons moving up, trying to take it. Handgunners in the middle, ripping some very cost-effective shots into the armored Kossars here. And now the spearmen going to be getting up and providing capture weight. And hopefully them in teamwork here with the old Witch Hunters will get the job done. So objective 3 does flip to us. Swordsman, I was about to say swordsman, like some goblin sword spore rider or something. I don't know what my brain's thinking, but yeah, swordsman here holding back some of the bear riders. So you can see some of the bears moving in. We do resummon the wagons that had fallen earlier, and some spearmen coming up. So obviously I don't want to take this fight. Bear riders are pretty jacked, and the Demis are, man, it's crazy. You always look at Demis and you're like, yeah, they're pretty big, but then you see them next to the war bear riders. You're like, oh man, those guys are truly quite large. Wagons are basically a hard counter against bear riders. They don't have shields, right? So they're going to just pay the price against this type of gunfire. And overall, we're pretty massively ahead on value, and it looks like there is potentially going to be a triple cap here in a second. Although Balthazar Gelt does get surrounded. This was a little bit of a feel-bad moment. He does get surrounded by the Kosovo Dervishes, and they do okay damage. Gelt isn't, like, super tanky. He does have 38 melee defense, so, you know, not the worst, but he's done his job. Gelt has gotten a couple of really solid final transmutations, And even if he goes down now, it's not the end of the world. He's pretty cheap to resummon, but it will hurt my leadership. So finally, just finally, we get this little Grom. -14 leadership. That thing's going to be running. That thing just massive havoc. It actually ended up paying for itself despite that really, really rough start that it had here. On the side point, we see Armored Kossars move again. My sword's been starting to falter a little bit, and it looks like Kislev probably going to be able to take this objective back. I just don't see these Brave Sigmards holding under all this fire. Really, really just getting mowed down by the pistol fire of the Armored Kossars. And it's really cool to see like hybrid units actually do well. Like I feel like Kislev like hybrid shooting is actually pretty underrated. Just the utility you have from having just ranged firepower on your like tanky, also very combat effective infantry is quite good. So I finally get the charge with the Warbear Riders. We do get a little bit of a flank on them and do some big HP damage. The double War Wagons moving in, also some Spearmen, so I'm hoping to be able to wrestle this point. But we are up on points as well as value. Objective 1 is under our control, Objective 2 under our control as well. Balthazar Gelt unfortunately getting smashed back here, so he does get surrounded by some Winged Lancers. I tried to escape with him. I had a cannon even shooting down here. I was like, maybe the cannon's going to do enough damage, but that's the thing about Kislev, man. They're super hard to break. So, you know, even if we did nail them down and they started to waver, they would get 30 seconds of free damage on Balthazar. So Balthazar Gelt is going to pay the troll toll. I'm going to be leaderless. And that means that my Empire State Trooper leadership could become a little bit fickle here. Looks like Subutai going to be diving against his Kosovo Dervishes, going to be heading for the Great Cannon. And, oh man, that's going to be tricksy. Down goes the cannon, but I think it's certainly done its job. This objective firmly held by the Great Swords of Sigmar. Couple Spearmen with shields moving up there, War Wagons lurking about, and both Witch Hunters are still very much alive too, which is quite nice. So right now, Kislev in a little bit of desperation mode. I believe their Lord got popped in the face earlier. I think my handgunners were able to draw a line of sight on it, and yeah, you can see the Lord just got resummoned. So now he's going to be getting some magic, and yeah, we'll have to see how this one unfolds. Empire Knights coming in, Empire Knights versus Winged Lancers. A bit of an interesting fight, actually. I think in a straight-up fight, the Empire Knights wouldn't do terribly, considering their armor is 30 higher than the Winged Lancers, and both of them lack armor piercing. Granted, the Winged Lancers' damage output is better, but I think in a straight-up fight, Empire Knights would probably win. But they're also slower. Winged Lancers have speed in the 80s, so a little bit of back and forth on both those. So Objective 1 held by the Empire Witch Hunters, a little bit out of ammo at this point. A couple Spearmen getting dragged down by the Winged Lancers here. And on the side point, it looks like the sons and daughters, well, just sons of Kislev. I guess there is an Ice Witch here as well. But the Bear Riders and company should be able to finish off the spears. Dude, I love War Bear Riders. They're such a cool model. I really hope that they actually make Kislev, like, give them a tabletop army in the old world. Like, I know that when they were first teasing Warhammer the Old World, the return of Warhammer Fantasy, they were showing, like, Kislev and Cathay concept art. But, like, I don't know. I still, like, have just a funny feeling that there could be some treachery there. I really hope it's actually a thing that's happening. Because, man, oh man, do I really want to collect a Kislev army, you know? Just, yeah, give me, here, take my money. On the backside here, Kossars the Spears putting a little bit of poke down, but we do have the shields, and we do also have the Great Swords in reserve with 91 models, still pretty combat ready. Pretty well ahead on points, not quite triple cap territory yet, but it will be relatively soon here. And it looks like a little bit of backfield diving as my handgunners do get compromised by these Winged Lancers, but I think that the Empire Knights plus the War Wagon support should be able to push them off. A couple more Spearmen moving up. And the value gap has certainly been closed here. You can see 13,000 for myself, 9.2. With, if you take healing into account, that has taken place from the Salax Lullabies and some of those other shenanigans. I'm probably up by about, yeah, I would say about 2,000, 2,500 value at this point. So certainly not the point of no return from Kislev, but it's going to be a tough fight for Kislev here to try and come back. As now you're starting to see, like, not too many Kislev units on the battlefield, and you see the dreaded Reaganomics, right? You see the Armored Kossars kind of trickling in one after another to get that capture weight up there. And we do have the option to rotate from Objective 1 to Objective 2 as well. More Armored Kossars on their way, but they're a relatively slow unit. This is a pretty big map. Ice Witch getting in there with the steel chair. Looks like one of the Witch Hunters is going to fall. She's gotten in there with her frozen sword, looking pretty cool. 494 HP. He might actually shatter if he gets hit again. We'll have to see. The Ice Witch is certainly looking to go for it. Looks like the melee defense of the Witch Hunter does hold up. I always felt like melee defense should be like, when a unit is like running, its melee defense should maybe go down, or there should be some penalty. Although I guess a unit that's like running for its life would still probably defend itself while it was being chased. So I don't know, just a bit of a food for thought. So Great Swords heading over, handgunners clamping in. We got one handgunner here and a second one also coming back. And once again, the Ice Witch getting popped in the face by the silver bullets. And I just want to get some close-ups of the Great Swords here as we get into the later stages of the game. But now it's basically, I think it's pretty darn close to triple cap. Like within 30 seconds, I think it's going to be triple cap territory. That's going to be very tough. On the side objective, we do see some Kossars holding it down, but really Kossars have awful damage output in melee. They only have 20 melee attack, and their weapons rank is at 25. But the spearmen here, even this very tattered regiment of spears, will probably be able to put up a good fight against them. Here it looks like a bombardment going down to the greatswords, but Sigmar blesses them this day, and it looks like they're going to be getting the dodge. We do have some Witch Hunter action in melee. Witch Hunter's not terrible in melee, but at only 45 armor, they're going to be getting hurt by the Kislev troopers. And now the greatswords charging in, taking those pistol shots like absolute champions. You can see some of the, I believe they're called Dry Hunters, right? The swords flying up here, but now they're engaging, and they are fighting some great weapon Kislevites. So I actually didn't notice, and now I see it in retrospect. But these are great weapon units. I think greatswords probably, man, look at that. The armored Kossar, how much do they even cost? I guess it's similar in price, but greatswords should have an advantage here because of the bonus versus infantry. Granted, their model count is much lower. Objective 1 firmly hold, and now we really have a fully operational firing line. And this is why war wagons are also super good, is you can use them as roadblocks. With their high armor, not the best defensive stats, but with their high armor, you can use them as a roadblock. And a lot of the DPS from that charge was just mitigated, allowing these handgunners to escape. And the war wagons are going to continue shooting in melee. Empire Knights do come back in, and on the side point, you can see we call in some Empire Knights, and it looks like they're going to be able to clear off that point. At this point, basically not too many chances for Kislev. Going to be GG, but man, I have to say, a really impressive scrap by Subutai. He was massively behind in the beginning, but, you know, he showed with a little bit of tenacious play that you can still, you know, get your way back in games. Had I made some colossal misplays and had he been able to capitalize, this is certainly still a game that he could have scrapped back. I mean, the middle objective flips, but I do flip this point, right? So, yeah, that's going to be closing out the game with the current points. It really does feel like you're playing against dwarves to an extent. I actually think Empire is favored against Kislev a little bit. I feel like they have many tools which are very good against Kislev, but that gap has been narrowed significantly. To, I would say, like a minor favor, depending on the map. The bigger the map, the better it is for the Empire, I think. But I don't know. Hard to say. Yeah, if it's like a close quarters map, like Itza, and they're like clamping down on you with their good quality infantry, it's really hard to stop that with the Empire. Without just like trying to use Sunmaker. But yeah, Sunmaker would get wrecked by Devil Little Grom, so you guys can see the conundrum there. I did have Sunmaker in reserve. Greatswords, 800 value, not bad. Demi's sitting at 13 despite getting Little Groms. Witch Hunters, 900 and 500 here. Cannons did great. Balthazar at 22. And Wagons did pretty damn good as well. A lot of good targets. Target-rich environment for sure. Well played to Subutai, man. Great tenacity from him. Truly embracing the Kislev spirit of, you know, fighting from behind and still, you know, putting up a great fight and almost kind of wrestling it back a little bit at a couple points. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the Witch Hunters and Gelt. Always fun to use them. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. And that's going to be it for today.